Hello, everyone. Welcome to our healthcare pitch session here at Kingscrowd's Investment Crowdfunding Week. This session, we are spotlighting innovators tackling some of the biggest challenges in medicine, care delivery, and health tech solutions. So, my name is Teddy Lyons. I'm a senior investment associate at Kingscrowd. My role at Kingscrowd is conducting the diligence of companies raising in the equity crowdfunding markets. So, this consists a lot of data analysis, writing analyst reports, and running the diligence pipeline for our fund, Kingscrowd Capital, where we invest in the top companies raising in this space. So, I want to give a quick thank you to our sponsor, Digital Niche Agency, and also welcome our guest judge, Mike Perry. Mike is a managing partner at Alumni Ventures, focused on health tech. So, great to have you, Mike, and wanted to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and Alumni Ventures.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, Teddy. Super excited. So, hello, everyone. I'm Mike Perry. I'm a managing partner at Alumni Ventures. As Teddy alluded to, part of my role here is to lead our healthcare investing, build out both our health tech fund and our health tech syndicate, which you could always, go to our website and learn more there. As for myself, I spent the last 15 years or so in the healthcare space across multiple roles. So, operating, product, the data science side, and then certainly the venture side. As a young 20-something-year-old, I jumped into the world of startups. It did not yield the massive financial outcome I had hoped, but I really got bit by that bug and have moved on to a lot of roles that I feel very lucky and privileged to have. So just highlighting a few of these. Spent a number of years with Seven Wire Ventures building and incubating companies. From there, I spent about 5 years with a fund out of New York, spending a lot of my time in healthcare investing, especially through the lens of the self-insured employer. From that point, spent time with CVS Health on their venture team, doing early stage growth and fund-to-fund investments, and then joined AV a number of years ago, where I really kind of combine that operating and investing experience to help shape how I partner with founders today. As for Alumni Ventures, a really incredible platform. So we are one of the most active venture firms in the U.S. We've raised over 1.4 billion. I'd say honestly the largest VC platform available for retail investors today. We're managing a portfolio of over 1,500 companies. But what's really cool about our platform is it allows folks like myself to also become, very T-shaped and focus in on areas that we are very passionate about, and certainly unlock that value to our retail base. So with that, our healthcare thesis, which I wanted to highlight, and I think you'll see this play through with the pitches today, is pretty straightforward. Our view is to align our investment where companies are focusing on the most important things in the sector, which are cost, quality, and access, three things that the US healthcare system has been plagued with for a very long time. And with that in mind, we invest across three core pillars. So embedded infrastructure, think of this as like the hidden layer in healthcare, everything from data and payments to AI, clinical and operational enablement. Second pillar is full stack care. So this ranges everything from pure play value-based care to tech-enabled models of care, spanning full payers from direct to consumer to the employer level. And the third and final pillar is frontier science. So this is really where we're seeing breakthroughs in diagnostics, biology, therapeutics, really seeing what these AI native companies could do at scale. So it's a very fun job. I feel privileged to be here, being able to back these resilient founders tackling the hardest problems in American healthcare. So with that, I'm excited to jump in and see what we have on the pitch side.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. Great to have your expertise here, and I know we're all looking forward to hearing your questions after the pitches here. So, first up, want to welcome the CEO of Neopenda, Sona Shah. Sona, take it away.
Hey everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, since I'm the first one up, I'm just going to confirm everyone can see that okay?
Yep,
Great.
looks good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Again, I'm Sona Shah, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Neopenda. We are transforming healthcare in emerging markets by designing affordable, life-saving medical technologies. But today, I want to start off by introducing you to a newborn named Hope. Hope was born prematurely in Kenya, and she had respiratory distress, so she was struggling to breathe. But she was born in a ward where there were 150 other newborns and only 2 nurses to help care for them. This is the heartbreaking reality that plays out in far too many hospitals. Thankfully, Hope was wearing our NeoGuard monitor. It's our wearable vital signs monitor. So when her oxygen levels dropped down to dangerous levels, an alert went out to the nurses and they were able to respond immediately, just in time to save her life. Hope is one of 30 million newborns in low and middle income countries globally who need intensive care every year. And sadly, 2.5 million newborns don't make it, largely due to late intervention. That's why we developed NeoGuard. NeoGuard is our rugged wearable vital signs monitor that continuously measures pulse rate, respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, and temperature, all in a simple headband. The vitals from multiple newborns wirelessly connect to a centralized dashboard on a tablet provided with our system, so clinicians can look at one screen and be able to tell what's going on with all their patients. This may seem like such a simple problem to solve, and that's already been solved, but most patient monitoring equipment, like the ones from GE, Masimo, Philips, they're built for well-resourced hospitals. The devices are expensive, they're power hungry, they require stable infrastructure, and constant maintenance. So as a result, very few of them actually exist in 85% of the world's population that has to worry about all of these constraints. NeoGuard is different. We designed it specifically with and for low resource environments. So it functions in power outages, it doesn't require internet, it can withstand dust and humidity, and it's easy to clean and reuse. We know that NeoGuard won't end up in what nurses call the equipment graveyard because it was made to meet the realities of most of the world's population. We're honored to have been recognized globally for our work. NeoGuard is CE marked, which is all the regulatory clearance that we need. It's the European version of FDA clearance. It's patented, it's manufactured under ISO 1345. So we've already done a lot of the hard part of medical technologies. We've won awards from MIT Solve, Fast Company, the UN, and many others, validating both our technology and our model. Recently, even the WHO has recognized us for the innovative work that we're doing. And the reason why is because we're solving system level problems. Tess and I met in a biodesign course at Columbia University, and we've built a team that bridges global medtech expertise with deep local experience. We've already helped thousands of patients like Hope, and we're just getting started. We've launched commercially in Kenya, focusing first on neonatal care, the most complex and critical use case. But we often get asked, is there really a viable market in Africa? Well, there are 13,000 health facilities in Kenya alone. Just imagine how many there are in 54 countries across Africa and then emerging markets globally. All of these facilities are actively seeking cost-effective, reliable tools like NeoGuard that improves patient outcomes and reduce clinical burden. We sell NeoGuard in packages of 5 to 15 wearable devices, and we see over 50% gross margins on every sale. So we're not just a great idea anymore because we've already sold to over 50 hospitals and have generated more than $200,000 in revenue. What we've built is not charity, it's a business with a strong foundation in real demand and long-term growth opportunity. While we continue to sell to new facilities, we also have the ability to grow within our existing customer base by expanding to pediatric and adult patients, which essentially can increase our revenue opportunity by up to 27x per site. We're also adding spot check use case for outpatient care, which introduces our work in primary care settings. We're not stopping at hardware. We're launching NeoCloud by 2026, which is a software platform that transforms patient data into actionable insights. It's really a game changer for facilities that are currently operating based on gut feeling and not making data-driven decisions. We're tackling a $3.4 billion vital signs monitoring market in sub-Saharan Africa alone that's growing faster than the rates even here in the US. We've proven demand and product market fit in neonatal care, and now we're scaling to meet the broader needs with a strong foundation, real demand, strong margins, and a clear growth path. We've raised $6 million to date, half from competitive global grants like Cisco, Wellcome Trust, Grand Challenges Canada, and many others, and the other half from aligned investors ranging from angels through institutional investors. Now we're inviting you to join us in our community round. We're building a future where patients like Hope have an opportunity to survive and thrive. We invite you to join us. Thank you so much for your time.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sona. Mike, I'll turn it over to you and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, Sona, thanks so much for sharing. Incredibly high integrity business, so it's always amazing to see what you're doing. Just curious, if you could speak a little bit to what the distribution model looks like as you're, starting in sub-Saharan Africa and then thinking of scaling. Obviously, a lot of us are used to the US distribution play, so just wondering, what that sales cycle looks like and, how you guys are building a robust pipeline.
Yeah, it's a great question. So when we first launched, we actually started by going through a distributor-led model, which is great because they have all the connections, they have the market opportunity. It's a pretty easy way to scale. The problem was a distributor is selling 100 different products, and it's hard to prioritize a no-name, no-brand product when you're new in the market. So we switched to a more direct to facility model. We started in the private sector, which is about half the market in Kenya. That led to enough interest that we started to gain interest from the public sector. The private sector is about a 3-month sales cycle. Public sector, while it's a little bit longer of a sales cycle, it's higher volume orders. So we started to get enough traction in the public sector that now we're at the point of negotiating with county governments, which is the US equivalent of states. So we're negotiating right now with 11 different county governments, which presents an opportunity of up to 1,000 different facilities. I realize we're not going to sell to 1,000 facilities overnight, but that's the level that we're negotiating with right now. We're talking to UNICEF and a lot of the larger multilateral agencies. So the ability to expand across geographies it depends on the infrastructure of each country, and that's where our transition to scale phase that we're in right now is so pivotal because we're understanding what the realities are in different countries. It's not 54 different profiles. There's 3 to 4 different profiles that we've identified, and we're showing that we can scale across these different healthcare infrastructures.
Got it. Okay. Helpful.
Great. Thank you so much, Sona. Really appreciate your time and your pitch and great job.
Thank you very much.
Well, great. Next up, I want to welcome CEO of Structural Elements, Doug Bertram.
Appreciate you guys having me. It's a pleasure to join you today, and congratulations on the inaugural year of the event. That's exciting stuff. Um, since our product is a brick and mortar space that we have franchised and are opening, I thought it best to start off by showing you a video that features the space so that people can see the product directly. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and play a short video for you here.
Hi, I'm Doug Bertram. I'm the CEO and founder of Structural Elements. I'd like to welcome you to our flagship location, where we've built a one-stop shop for orthopedic care. We are not a startup. We have already delivered over 100,000 treatments. We're also a franchise with 3 locations, and all of our documents and our systems are all built, and we're ready for scale. Our focus is on proactive and preventative care. Because of this, we're a cash practice. Oftentimes, when you're in a traditional insurance environment, you get stuck treating symptoms alone. We offer it all under one roof: acupuncture, physical therapy, movement-based therapies like yoga and Pilates. We even have all of the passive recovery modalities that are available via membership. That's cryo and red light, sauna. But we're not limited to those. Our thesis is really as an orthopedic practice. So if any technologies evolve or if any best practices develop due to advancements in science or technology, we can adopt those. We're not a one commodity franchise. All of our providers are trained in our proprietary method. Our method is really based on a proprietary mapping of where change happens in the connective tissue due to structural imbalances. So it doesn't matter if it's a massage therapist or acupuncturist, medical doctor, one of our movement therapists, they're all trained in a proprietary mapping system that is Structural Elements. Most healthcare providers have to make a choice. They either work in the insurance world and stay in that grind, or they have to take on a lot of risk by going out and hanging their own shingle. We offer a third option. This is a shared cost model where our franchise is set up where providers can come in to a turnkey ready solution in a shared cost model. By being a one-stop shop in orthopedic wellness, Our patients oftentimes see multiple providers. Our patients may start with one person, for movement. They may see another therapist for manual therapy, and then enjoy some of our recovery modalities or a class. This allows for fewer patients that we have to acquire newly and a greater dollar density per patient spend. Our growth plans are to expand to over 125 locations within the next 5 years. Orthopedic wellness is a multi-trillion-dollar worldwide industry, so we think that there's plenty of market share out there for the taking. We're currently 100% owned by our patients and our providers. We couldn't be more excited to be using crowdfunding as a path to bring this work to more communities and to have more people benefit from the work that we're doing at Structural Elements.
So as it says in the video, the big problem that we're solving for is providers really are limited in their options of either staying in the insurance world or having to take on a huge expense to break ground and hang their own shingle. And what we're really selling in terms of the franchise model is an opportunity for communities to put up structural elements clinics that rent turnkey ready space to providers of different licensures, so that they have a low barrier to entry path to providing cash-based direct patient access type care. And right now, we're not an idea. We've delivered hundreds of thousands of treatments in our existing locations. Have been doing it for 30 years. But what we're really looking for funding for is to be able to bring the work that we're doing in the communities that we have clinics and really do a national footprint to making this care available in as many communities as possible. We have incredible patient retention. We have incredible patient satisfaction. We are a membership-based model, so we retain patients for a long time because it is proactive and preventative care. So we're really excited about this path forward. The capital is there for sales and marketing to sell the franchises and to beef up our operations a little bit to support our therapists and our clinic owners. But all of our systems, they're built and we're ready for scale. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Great. Thanks so much, Doug. Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Well done video. Just one quick clarifying question, and then I can get to it. So cash pay only today, is that what I'm interpreting correct?
Yes. Oftentimes our patients, depending on their insurance provider, they may have some coverage, but we provide them with a super bill. So they're responsible for payment at the time of service, but then they can get reimbursed if they have the coverage.
Okay.
And that ultimately keeps us in a direct contract with our patients that we're going to provide them the best care possible. We're not going to be influenced in terms of the reimbursement from their insurance. And also it allows us to treat the body holistically to really look for causation, not just treating symptoms.
Okay. Got it. And then given that model, what's the highest licensure of the care team that that can come in and actually practice?
We have an orthopedic surgeon who is in one of our clinics and doing a Peter Attia style longevity practice, as well as doing proactive and preventative joint injections. So that's kind of the top of the food chain in terms of licensure. But very much favorable to DOs that want to go functional medicine or do osteopathic manual manipulations, that sort of thing.
Okay. And then just the main question I asked about that, just given kind of the nature of payer mix, but in terms of customer acquisition, how much of this is you guys at the management level helping build kind of the panels as you scale versus the clinicians that are coming in and using you all kind of for that one-to-many acquisition? Are they bringing a lot of patients that they have in referrals, or are you guys doing the majority?
It's a mixed bag. Some people come with already a developed book of business, right? And they're just entering a shared cost model for more efficiency. Some people are new to practice and they have to kind of build from the ground up. We provide a roadmap of success path, of identifying key influencers. We have a lot of data on the appropriate amount of spend for patient acquisition, and we have collected a lot of that information. But then also just the nature of being in a shared environment with multiple different providers. We have a yoga studio. My wife is involved in the yoga studio. She couldn't convince me for years that it monetized to put in a yoga studio. Well, it brought in 150 new faces to the practice within the first few months of having the studio. And so those patrons are now becoming members and are now coming in for massage, and they're coming in for treatments, or they may have joined the doctor's practice. So it really is just that dollar density per patient is really people don't just come for one service line. They come for multiples. We say it's like Project Nordstrom, right? We have multiple different curated services all under one roof, kind of as a one-stop shop.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Great, Mike. I think we have time for one more if you have any other questions. Otherwise, I can.
Yeah, just curious, like how you think of the unit economics going to you versus, the providers based on the membership.
Yeah, so the membership is really just for the modalities, so for some of the passive recovery modalities, and then the service revenue goes directly to the provider, less a franchise fee. So we have a royalty fee that we charge to run the franchise. But other than that, it's really just the rental payment that is coming to the clinic owner for the turnkey ready space. So it's under what we call an administrative service agreement. It's the rental agreement that says in exchange for their rent, they're always going to have a well-stocked, clean room. They're going to have a friendly desk staff. Somebody's going to keep the clinic in good repair. So all they have to focus on is patient care instead of all of the other headaches of managing a small boutique practice.
Okay, got it.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Doug. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Great. Next up, want to welcome the CEO of Breath Diagnostics, Ivan Lowe. Ivan, you are up.
Hey guys, just want to make sure you can see my screen. I'll just jump straight into it if you can.
Yep, we can see it.
We're good.
Perfect. So some forward-looking statements and disclaimer because we are dealing with a medical product. So I'm the CEO of Breath Diagnostics, and one simple exhale could have saved my dad's life. And so our goal is to turn that possibility into a reality for millions of families. So I'm going to start by trying to show you how to do that. Every great medical revolution has started with a new way of seeing the body. In the 90s, there was MRIs that let us see soft tissue. In 2000s, there was genomics, which unlocked DNA. In 2010s, liquid biopsies has transformed detection by finding markers in the blood. And we believe in 2020 that breath may be the next lens in which we see disease. So over the last 10 years, billions have been poured into liquid biopsies as a diagnostic tool, paving the way for multi-billion-dollar companies like Grail and Guardant Health. But finding disease markers in blood is like trying to detect a drop of ink in a swimming pool. The signal is small, the background is noisy, and the system is constantly being cleaned by your liver, your kidney, and your immune system. So that's why they haven't been very good at catching early stage cancers. It's why analysis of blood samples can sometimes take days or even weeks just to analyze. Breath, on the other hand, reflects volatile metabolites directly from the lungs and bloodstream. These signals change almost immediately with inflammation, infection, and even tumor metabolism. And we can capture that change with just one simple exhale, providing a snapshot of what's happening inside the body minutes to hours after biological change, not many years later. And so now a landmark study that was published just a couple of months ago is proving it. For the first time in clinical history, we were able to detect the onset of disease, not after symptoms appear, but as it is beginning. The study predicted which patients undergoing elective cardiac surgery would develop pneumonia days before symptoms even appeared. So it's not just detecting pneumonia or diagnosing pneumonia, it's actually predicting it in advance. Well, why is that important? Post-op pneumonia is one of the most costly complications in surgery. It's very expensive. You end up staying in the hospital for longer, and that increases your risk of dying. But for the first time ever, we have a way to potentially prevent that. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg for our technology. Our breath tech has also been shown to detect cancer as well, but not just any cancer. Lung cancer kills more people than the top 4 cancers combined. 20 million Americans qualify for screening, but only 6% are actually screened. Well, the question is why? The current standard of care is a scan that's inconvenient, it requires lots of follow-up, and While it's considered non-invasive, undergoing one of these scans exposes you to half a year's worth of natural background radiation exposure, but all in one shot. And we're pretty confident that a simple 30-second breath test could change that. So just how accurate have we been? We've demonstrated in over 800 patients that we can meet or even beat the current standard of care. We are the most published breath test as it relates to lung cancer. And when we combine breath with imaging, our AI models push the accuracy even further, potentially eliminating the need for multiple follow-ups. So the question is, how does it work? It's super simple. A patient exhales into a collection bag, just one breath, and inside that breath are thousands of molecules called VOCs. These are byproducts of metabolism, inflammation, cancer. We then suck that breath sample through a chemically modified reactor. We call this a micro-reactor. And once the breath sample is on this chip, we send it in for analysis, a process that takes only 10 minutes. No needles, no radiation, no waste, and no hospital infrastructure. So it goes without saying, the market for predicting post-op pneumonia and lung cancer screening, or even lung cancer detection, is very, very big. So I guess the question is, how do we put a value on our potential? The valuation of the companies you see on the left achieve these valuations before FDA approval because they were out to prove they're a platform. And what this shows is that investors don't always wait for FDA approval to assign real value. They invest based on market size, clinical momentum, and platform potential. And we check every one of those boxes. And so including, not just post-op pneumonia and lung cancer screening, but other diseases like COVID and tuberculosis as well. The question is, what should we be valued at? And do we have the people that can take it there? So, of course, to make this reality, we need a capable team. Collectively, our team currently has published hundreds of papers. They've held senior, executive, and director roles at the companies you see on the right. They've served on federal advisory committees for CMS and FDA panels, and they've led commercialization efforts and FDA approval. Most importantly, they have decades of combined experience in breath analysis. So we're creating a new category of medicine. It's simple, it's elegant, it's scalable, and it's showing predictive capabilities. And with this funding, we should be able to refine our technology and be ready for an FDA clinical trial and maybe even get through that with the amount of capital that we're raising. We have clinical proof, a capital efficient path, and a vision that I believe that investors understand. We believe that breath will be a new category of medicine, and we plan on being that household name. And all it takes from us is just one simple exhale. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thanks so much, Ivan. Yeah, just a quick reminder to the audience, certainly drop your Q&A for our founders at the bottom of your screen there. And if you go to the resources tab, you can also see our analysis and ratings on all the presenting companies today. But yeah, Ivan, great job. Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ivan. Really cool to see, how you guys envision kind of categorically creating around breath. First question is based on that. So, given a lot of the novelty of breath-based biomarkers, just curious from the pathway standpoint, do you anticipate pursuing a 510(k) that has like a clear predicate, or is this truly, requirement of, de novo from here?
I think depending on which category we go with, if it's going after lung cancer screening or pneumonia, the great thing about the post-op pneumonia, it's arguably our fastest path to market because there is no predicate. Arguably, it's a breakthrough designation device, which we look to submit within the next 30 days, just getting the numbers finalized for that. And so from that perspective, it'll probably fall in line, the post-op pneumonia as a risk predictor, so more along the lines of a class 2, but still a de novo submission.
Okay.
Whereas lung cancer screening is obviously, there's a current standard of care.
Much different. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So you'll kind of parallel path it from there. Obviously,
Exactly.
That'll have impact on capital needs and go to market. But just on your first use case, then, core question, and given where you think it's going to fall in the regulatory framework, is the vision really that just this becomes like standard practice of care? So as this is happening, it's kind of like auto used at that point, or is there a different utilization management guideline that you guys also have to pursue at the same time?
I think when it comes to lung cancer screening, that's a different question. But as it relates to post-op pneumonia prediction, we hope that it will become a standard. There's nothing else like it. There's traditional risk factors, but those are more like a questionnaire type risk factor versus a biological risk factor.
Yep.
So the moment we prove this out within a post-op pneumonia, we believe we can expand it to other surgeries, all other major surgeries as well.
Okay, got it. And then if there's time, kind of one last, is this like a razor and blades type model? How are you guys envisioning some
It's
unit
exactly that.
economics?
So this little chip right here, I don't know if you guys can see that. That's a secret sauce. It costs us nothing to, I mean, I shouldn't say nothing, but $30 to $50 per chip. So we expect it to be a disposable. Now, can it be reused? Yes, but I think it's much easier just to have a brand new spanking new one and throw it away.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it. Thanks, Ivan.
you got
Yeah,
it.
Ivan, I'll ask a quick question. So, I'm assuming kind of breath diagnostics are sensitive to environmental and biological noise. So curious, how do you ensure kind of device calibration consistency and reproducibility across geographies and things like that?
That's a great question. There's a standardization approach used in breath right now, but I think the biggest difference is most traditional breath technologies use something called thermal desorption, which means someone has to sit there and concentrate their breath for 15 to 30 minutes using these tubes and then heat it up and ionize it to get a result. Because we use one sample, we mitigate a lot of that one breath. So we're actually looking for specific quantities within that one breath. And we have done a study before whereby we had a spouse and the husband who had known cancer go in for breath at the same time to account for those variabilities. And she blew negative, he blew positive. We cut that cancer out, and then those markers dropped, those lung cancer markers dropped on him as well.
Got it.
Yeah, but that's a great
Great.
question.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks so much, Ivan. Appreciate you being here. And yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you, Teddy. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Ivan.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, I want to introduce Chief Growth Officer of OneAI, Herb von Winckelmann. Herb, you are up.
There's a lot going on in healthcare. You know that RFK Jr., the Health and Human Services Secretary, said that chronic disease is the #1 issue that HHS is going to be focusing on. And our mission is to improve the health and well-being of those living with chronic disease outside the hospital. Our team got together in about '06 when I was VP of sales for InTouch Health, later purchased by Teladoc Health for about $1 billion. I was selling telehealth robots at the time. And Rob Fisher, our CEO, and our Chief Medical Officer were the founders of the Michigan Stroke Network. So it was the first network to connect remote sites, a hub and spoke model, to a central comprehensive stroke center for diagnosis and treatment of patients with stroke. It increased the use of TPA tremendously because they were able to respond within that golden window. It saved thousands of lives, saved millions of dollars in rehab expenses, generated billions in revenue for hospitals and health systems. And our company, OneAI Health, actually started with Rob and Dr. Fessler working on a stroke AI algorithm to look at recurrent stroke, which has been very successful and predictive. Let me start here. We're focused on anybody who's familiar with healthcare knows that the needle hasn't really moved on chronic disease over the years. And so we think the real problem is that there's no effective way to really manage patients outside the hospital. And where we're different is that we use continuous clinical surveillance on patients, getting about 200 signals a day for patients over 5 or 6 different parameters. And for that reason, we feed that into our AI algorithm and are able to produce some predictive insights that can be used to manage the patient. We have an app that connects to a wearable that displays information for a physician on a portal where they can take a look at all their patients and segregate out any parameters that they want to take a look at. Our model is one where we contract for the service with practices. They bill regular insurance in most cases, and then we get a fee from what's recovered from reimbursement. We've put ourselves in a unique position in that we use continuous clinical surveillance with artificial intelligence. We're different because we participate in a pretty large market. We're focused on this $2 billion core market, where what we focus on, principally our own sales team, is medical groups and physician practices, because it's an easy place to identify the decision makers. We use channel partners for hospitals and health systems and hospital health plans, because they already have a relationship and we are a preferred provider. And we think that takes about 6 months to a year out of the sales cycle. We have great clinical results. We've shown that we have been able to, for 40% of the patients that are monitored, change the treatment plans based on the data that's available. And at the same time, we found 25% of patients had undiagnosed hypertension. Recently unpublished, but a recent study that we did over 90 days for a PACE program, if you're familiar with those, which is patient all-inclusive care for the elderly. We showed that we were able to reduce hospital admissions by 50% and ED visits by 50% using a control group within the selected group of patients that we monitored. We participate in 2 models. So I just mentioned sort of a shared risk model, which is a subscription. And then there's also a fee-for-service model. I talked about that earlier when we talk about billing insurance. There are well understood and well-defined CPT codes for the reimbursement of RTM and RPM, remote patient monitoring, and remote therapeutic monitoring. Although we don't think of ourselves as an RPM company, we're able to participate in that type of reimbursement. We've got some momentum. We should have about 25,000 patients under service by the end of the year. Gross revenue by year end, we're forecasting 1.9 million. We've got 6 patent pending AI algorithms. In 2026, we believe we'll have more than 40,000 patients on service, with one current customer contributing about 8 to 10,000 of those. EBITDA in August was 66%. We have a strong pipeline that's growing, and we have about 11 very high confidence deals where we are already structuring the opportunity, and we should have SOC compliance by mid-October. Listed below is OpenMind, Sterling Portco. Those are some of the channels partners that we have that we work with. Affiliated Enterprise Solutions is a company that works with state hospital associations, where we're a preferred provider for Minnesota, Michigan, the Michigan State Medical Society, and then the South Atlantic Hospital Association, working on about 4 others. We did a little pivot in who we're selling to. Sorry about that. We did a little pivot in who we're selling to. We found out that going after large medical groups was just as hard as a small group. So we jettisoned some of our small customers and are focused on some larger groups. We've got speed. Working with a behavioral health company, we're sort of defining a niche. It's sort of a mind-body offering, treating many of the behavioral health issues and mental disease as a chronic disease. Our AI predictive model is super effective. We have a chatbot on there that has thrown about 5 patients back into therapy that had suicidal ideation. And that's been very rewarding for us as a team. We're device agnostic. So if anything connects to Apple Health Kit or Google Health Kits, we can work with that. We also work with existing devices that folks have. So if you have an Apple Watch or anything else, that'll work. We currently work with a Ring as a device, is the most popular because it'll carry a charge for about 11 days, and compliance is about 26% higher. So we say we're a clinician-owned company because we have so many physicians that have invested. And in fact, we recently had a few physicians from our customer invest in our company. We would be using funds for these things, continue to develop our AI platform, marketing, and grow our sales and implementation teams. This is our team. You see Rob, me, Dr. Fessler. We've worked together, known each other since 2006. I also spent some time in a health system, Ascension Health. And our other co-founder, Clinton Michael, is an attorney who headed the telehealth section for the Bar Association. We've got a pretty strong advisory board with Peter McCullough, who is maybe the most published cardiologist for cardiovascular information, Dr. Iskovich, Jason Naparella, deep experience in skilled nursing facilities, of which we have a couple. And that is the quick walk through who we are and what we're about.
Great. Thank you so much, Herb.
You bet.
Mike, turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Herb. Quick question on the model.
Yes.
As a preferred provider across payers, how are you guys thinking about the balance of fee for service and moving more towards the sub-capitation route? Like, where are you on that trajectory, and where do you think the majority of your growth is going to come from moving forward?
So let me answer the first half because it's kind of an interesting story. We aimed at Puerto Rico because everybody in Puerto Rico has either Medicare or Medicaid. So we know every single person on those islands is insured for RPM and RTM. What we didn't really think through till we got there was that it's managed Medicaid and Medicare Advantage. In our first conversations with folks where they said we have 8,000 or 12 with providers, we have 8,000 or 12,000 patients with chronic conditions. We can't really afford to do all that. When we talk to them about the 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 patients that are readmitted 4 times a year at about 15,000 per visit, it makes sense to put those patients on a program. So we have about 4 opportunities where we're actually designing the model there. You remember I mentioned that we don't think of ourselves as an RPM or an RTM company because we do very extensive monitoring, 200 data points per patient per day, over 5 or 6 parameters. We actually think that our big strength is in the clinical results and delivery, and we believe that the shared risk subcapitation models will be a large part of what we do. And we're proving that out right now. We believe we'll prove that out over the next few months in Puerto Rico first. And then we're working with a channel partner who's got hooks into several hospital health plans to look there. If this was 12 years ago and I was selling RPM, I would have come to you and said, hey, here's a study by Geisinger Health Plan or Mayo or the Cleveland Clinic and said, for every dollar you spend on remote patient monitoring, you save 3. And we think we're going to have a stronger discussion than that in the future.
Okay. Got it. So clear to say, like, the managed, Medicare Advantage, Medicaid, managed Medicaid is on the, more of the roadmap moving forward.
I wouldn't walk away from fee for service because that is a model that medical groups understand, even hospitals. And as you know, medical groups participate in both fee for service and shared risk. So we have an offering for whatever side of the house could be interesting.
Yep. And then for the provider perspective, as you think about, the payers that are recognizing you as the preferred provider, to just walk us through that motion a little bit. Are you working with the provider, or are you going to the large plans first saying, here's what you do, and you're embedded as a preferred provider, so then it's easier on the distribution? Just how do you sequence that?
I think that's a longer term strategy, and we're going to do that tactically a little bit different than how you mentioned. I think right now we're able to talk to folks about taking better care of their patients and those practices generating some revenue for themselves. So that's an immediate couple of hooks. I think the shared risk model grows as we go. To go straight to payers is a long sales cycle. And for that reason, with a small sales team, I'm focused on where I know the decision makers are, and I know what the value proposition is. I know who to get a decision from. It's the practice administrator or the medical group and the lead physician or founding partner. So we're going to stay with that, but I will tell you with our behavioral health partner, we are landing some preferred opportunities with payers through the demonstration of our work through those practices. So if you track that, it's kind of a long way to say that they're seeing our results and it's making a difference to get in the door with the payer.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. A very long sales cycle, but the earlier you can hook them, better it'll be for long-term discussions with the payers.
Absolutely.
Great.
And once you get a couple good ones, I think in Puerto Rico, as we prove out that model, everybody knows dollars are lean there. They're underfunded. They're overworked, all kinds of challenges. I think we make some stuff work there. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Especially since some of the payers are USA based.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Thank you so much, Herb. Appreciate you being here and a great job.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Last but certainly not least, want to introduce the CEO of RegenMed, Michael Tierney.
Teddy,
Hey, Michael. Great to see you.
good to see you. Thanks for having me. And thank the whole Kingscrowd group for the impressive lineup that you've had here. I think it gives all of us inspiration in terms of the degree of innovation in the healthcare sector. We sorely need it. So with that, let me share my screen. This will be a relatively short video, hopefully leaving time for questions.
Hi, I'm Michael Tierney. At RegenMed, we are driven by a compelling mission and a powerful business model. Today's healthcare system is broken. We spend far more than others, but with worse health metrics in many categories. Most of us, including physicians, have lost trust in the system. The current approach to healthcare data is not helping. Indeed, it is a root cause of the problem. There are 1 billion physician visits annually in the US. Each of these represents valuable real-world data. If that data is properly captured, it can provide strong, cost-efficient support for clinical decision-making, research, and value-based care. This is what we do. AI algorithms are easy to build today. However, they mean nothing without high-quality data inputs. Indeed, without quality and verifiable data, their outputs can be dangerous, especially in healthcare. We have built a system to supply that data for any health and wellness category. We've established global market traction across a variety of client categories. We're posting strong growth in annual recurring revenues, and those revenues represent only a tiny fraction of our addressable markets. Our Circle data sets are not only high quality, they are proprietary to those who create them. This opens up a second powerful revenue line, data set licensing across the largest sectors of modern healthcare. With our fast-growing recurring revenues and competitive moats, RegenMed is well-positioned to scale rapidly. Like other 0 to 1 companies, we are committed to disrupting existing data markets, creating new ones, and capturing significant portions of the resulting value. Our business plan is simple. First, we will do more of what we already do well. Second, we are deepening our patented technology to support the key evolving trends in healthcare. They all require high-quality, proprietary, real-world data. RegenMed is fortunate to have a seasoned, well-balanced leadership team. They have the necessary experience to build a business delivering data-driven solutions to the fundamental problems afflicting our $4 trillion healthcare system. Thank you for your time. You can find out more through the links below or contacting us. We always look forward to engaging with existing and prospective stakeholders.
So what we do in short is something that I would hope is of interest to all the prior presenters, like it is in so many of our clients across the healthcare sector.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael. Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. First question, just so clarity, who's your primary customer today from the enterprise side? What do they
We
look like?
have product manufacturers, we have medical societies, we have independent provider groups, and we have sole practitioners.
Okay, got it. And those are so that spans from large enterprise down to mid-market. Like how do you think of
The largest enterprise client we have right now that we've announced is a group called ORF, the Orthopedic Research and Education Foundation. And they are the main arm for education and research in the orthopedic world.
Got it. Okay. And then I believe you breezed through it, but what were the unit economics you're selling it as? What is it
So
like?
we have two basic revenue lines. One is we have a very high gross margin, about 90%. And we're able to do that because we sell our model at $5 per case, $35 per month, and $4,250 per observational protocol, clinical study protocol, you can call that. And then we are now getting into the business of licensing the data. So all of this data is collected through our proprietary system. It's a closed system. So it's verifiable to its primary sources, patients, physicians, laboratories, and it's therefore licensable data. And that's a second revenue line that we're just starting to develop.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be one of the core questions as you think of, the data that you're capturing from the visit obviously can be very beneficial across the value chain. What is the regulatory framework for that in terms of licensing it across at the patient level? Obviously, it's de-identified, but are there hoops that you're jumping there? Given, is it research use? Do you have to have any FDA clearance based on some of the decision support? So just curious how you guys are thinking of this.
Yeah, think of EMR data. So a good example of our major competitor, the markets we're disrupting, are companies like IQVIA, for example, metadata. And so they don't jump through any hoops. They ingest large amounts of EMR data, revenue cycle management data, claims data, et cetera, apply proprietary algorithms to it, increasingly AI, and then license it. Now, the people they license it to, largely health sciences companies in that particular case, use it for research. So they obviously have to jump through regulatory hoops. But the entry of that data, the EMR data, for example, revenue cycle management data, insurance claim data, that you have to comply with HIPAA, obviously, anybody who's dealing with that. But the further use of that data, unless you are doing research with it, isn't required. That's for the licensees. Same thing with us.
Got it. So it's more of that research versus like a clinical decision support where an outcome is at play.
Yeah, a way to think about it, Mike, is IRBs. When would an IRB be required? Institutional Review Board approval. And that we work with clients that do IRBs, but the so-called common rule, which is relevant to IRBs, is it used for human research? That's the key thing. If an EMR, otherwise collecting data for observational studies, quality improvement studies, those are not required under the common rule. But if you're going to start using some of them for research purposes for a regulatory submission, for example, or other types of research, then those licensees would have to do it. As I mentioned, we have clients that do that. They use our platform in the context of IRBs, but most of our clients are collecting data, so-called real-world evidence, in the context of everyday practice of medicine.
Yep. Okay. Got it.
Amazing. Well, great. Michael, thank you so much for being here. And
my pleasure.
great
Thank you
job.
for having us.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Mike. I see.
Well, great, Mike. So we have a couple minutes here. Would love to hear any of your closing thoughts on the pitches today and just kind of your thoughts on the health tech space in general and how it's evolved and anything you're seeing today.
First of all, I mean, super cool group that we had, all outstanding, founders and operators. And I think why I get so energized leaving any of this is at the end of the day, when you're an investor looking at healthcare, I think what's undeniable is I wake up every day and regardless of making an investment or not, you see the integrity of these businesses and you're like, we just need this, right? And then oftentimes we are so focused on the U.S. healthcare system because of, it's $4.9 trillion and growing, right? If you think of that, it's one of the largest GDPs, and there's systemic issues that a lot of these groups are addressing. But at the same time, you're also seeing like global ready solutions, right? As you think of healthcare on a global scale. And, given the rise of AI, and especially what we see today, it's an industry that is incredibly data rich, but I think for the longest time has been like operationally insight poor. And now with, the rise of what you can do in terms of AI and automation, you're seeing things that are not just like the frontier science breakthrough, but even like operational breakthrough, right? The stuff that you don't think, but you're often paying for. And I think you're seeing this across these handful of companies today, right? You have groups that are going to win on just better distribution, and you have others that are going to win on much better data, and you're going to have others who are winning on just like breakthrough science, right? So I think it's the epitome of what is so energizing for us at Alumni Ventures in terms of the innovation we're seeing across the market. I think, as you look at what I have today, I think a lot of it comes down to, how you do win on the distribution side. I think we heard a handful of the teams today allude to the notion that it's a long sales cycle, or it could be intricate, or you're dealing with a regulatory body. I think that's the thing that I often push on the most in deeper diligence, is really understanding what that commercial model looks like and what your distribution model looks like, because it's so important in healthcare, right? It's how you orient your product. It's how you think of your scaling of unit economics, right? Based on the distribution that you have, that's going to change a lot of elements of how you think of building your business. So I think it was really cool today to just see, full span spectrum across the value chain in terms of where and how these entrepreneurs are building, hopefully, the future of healthcare.
Yeah, totally agreed. Yeah, and I think, your focus on distribution and scaling, and something I always push on is kind of what are the costs associated with those distributions? If you need the FDA approval, okay, how can you model that out to the dollar, or as close as you can get? So yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, great, Mike. Really appreciate your expertise today and you being here. It
was awesome. A lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for coming, and have a great day.